Welcome back to Insight Builder channel, data leaders and big data learners. Let us continue with the activity of this steps that we are doing in this video. We will be setting up passwordless login in this video first, and then we will set up Postgres Docker container, and then configure the Postgres Docker container in such a way that it can become the Metastore for the big data cluster that we are making, that we are building. So without further ado, let us go to the terminal, and I have already started. Ensure that you have started your cluster and connect to that using the SSH connection string like this, and the IP address has to be as per the IP address available in the latest Ubuntu cluster. Ensure that you are taking that particular connection string, and once you connect, you will be able to log in. Now, first and foremost, we are going to check certain things. We have to check whether there is any .ssh. So we have to check whether .ssh folder is there, and we see that .ssh folder is already available. And if you actually go into the .ssh folder, you will see that there is already authorized key available. Okay, so this authorized, okay, let me again execute this. So you will see that authorized key is available, and what we are going to do right now is we are going to create SSH key for our local Ubuntu user. So what we are going to do is ssh-keygen. Once you execute this command, it will actually generate the id.rsa public and private key pair. So I am not going to change the name. I am going to give it the regular name. Don't give any passphrase. You should not give any passphrase. That is very important. And now if I do ls-a, you see that I have additional 2 files. So I need to copy the contents of this file into authorized key file. This is what I need to do in order to set up the passwordless login. So if I do lsltr, you see that my authorized keys file has almost just 391 bytes of data. Once I execute cat authorized keys, sorry, I shouldn't actually do that. I should do the other way. So I need to say idrsa.pub, and then I need to do, you should always use double. So what this means is this particular symbol, the greater than symbol that I'm using, greater than or less than symbol that I'm using, actually tells that, okay, append the content of this particular file. So I'm, okay, append the content of this particular public id_rsa public file to authorized keys public file, or authorized keys file. So once I execute this, you will see that it went through. And next, if I do lsltr, you will see that my authorized key size has increased right now. Okay, and that is because the data from the id_rsa pub has been written to authorized keys already. Now, if I do ssh localhost, just a minute. Excuse me. If I do ssh localhost, it will say, okay, localhost is trying to connect with you, and it will give the IP address of the localhost 127.0.0.1, and you say yes. So you have to say yes, and it will connect to the localhost. Now, what has happened is without even giving any password, I have created the passwordless login. So if I do an exit, it will again come into Ubuntu. You see this? You see the connection to localhost closed. So now I am actually in the main area of Ubuntu. So this is something you have to experience it, then you will understand. So here you see the last login from 127.0.0.1, and let me actually exit and do an SSH backend. Okay, then you will understand what I'm trying to tell. So I'm going to exit now. This will exit from the SSH connection to the Amazon itself, Amazon Linux, the Ubuntu Linux system itself. It will get exited. Okay, now if I do SSH again, I am actually SSH using the SSH connection to the actual Ubuntu Linux server that is inside AWS. Okay, that is the first SSH I am doing, and after that, after I am doing the SSH, then I am doing localhost here. So this is after, this is actually the passwordless login. So I am not giving any password. So it is by default logging in. So this kind of a setup is required for the next steps to execute. So I will, we will explain where it is required. So at this moment, you have to make this setup ready. Next, what we are going to do is ensure that your Docker image, Postgres image is available. We are going to create a container now. So if I do Docker image ls, you should have the Postgres image available here. Okay. What we are going to do is Docker create. So the formula, the syntax that we are going to use is Docker create. So if I do a Docker create, you will see that, okay, Docker create requires at least one argument, and this is, so creates a new argument, new container. So this Docker create will create a new container. So if I say, if I give an help, it will actually give a lot of information about this. So I'm not going to explain you how to actually, go through this process of creating the Docker container, the syntax, etc. I'm going to just give you the exact series of variables you need to use in order to establish the container. Okay, so first and foremost, give the name to the container. Say that BYOB catalog. Okay, this is because this is going to be the catalog, or you can say BYOB DB. Okay, that will be easier. So the name is BYOB DB, and the password is going. Okay, the environmental variable is going to be Postgres password is equal to make it actually more complicated. I am actually giving it as an example here. Make it complicated in your case to keep it safe. And then I am going to say port. I am going to forward the port 5432 to 6432. Okay, this is something that I am doing to avoid conflict between, in case if there is any other Postgres instance running in your local environment, it will not get conflicted. So this is how you do that. So I am doing the port forwarding between these two, and then I also giving the host name as the BYOB underscore DB. Okay, so Docker create, this is the name of the container, this is the environmental variable, this is the port forwarding mapping that we are doing, and then this is the host name that we are giving. The username, the Postgres username is by default Postgres, so you don't need to worry about that. It will get set by default. And once you execute this command, the container will get created. So let us execute this. Okay, so now we are getting the error that it is saying that Docker requires at least one. So what happens is this name, and after this name, we need to give the Postgres, the image of the Postgres. So first of all, we have to ensure that we give the name, because in the last step we had missed the giving the image of the image that you are going to use. So after this, give name BYOB underscore DB, and then you have to say Postgres. This is the image that we are going to connect. This is the image that which is going to be used for creating the container. Okay, and now you see that the actual container has been created, and if you see Docker container ls, you'll see. Okay, so just a minute. Once you use this command and once you have created the container, next what we need to do is we have to we need not use the container ls command. We can say simply Docker start BYOB underscore DB. So we can directly use this and it will start the container. And once the container has started, you can actually check using the ps command. So once you see that, you can actually check that the container is up 7 seconds ago, and you see that the port has been forwarded, and also the names of the particular container. And next what we do is we say Docker logs BYOB DB. So if you do this, you will actually see the logs of the database itself. So you see the database system is is ready to accept connections. So that means now we have the database ready. We need to now configure it, right? In order to configure it, we need to first of all check whether the Postgres Docker instance that we have created is actually allowing to connect. So we need to do two types of checking we need to do. We have to do first Docker exec, and we are going to say interactive terminal. This is the switch we use, -it, and we are going to use BYOB DB, and we are going to ask for PSQL. So PSQL is the PostgreSQL client that we are going to use, with the username Postgres is the username that we are going to follow, and the host is localhost. So localhost is the local host inside the Docker. So this is now the local host of our Ubuntu machine. Okay, and if I am going to execute this, you see that I am able to log into the Postgres Docker instance right now. So if I do a list, you can see that I can see the databases available. Now I can come out of this. That in this case, I actually use Docker exec command to connect to the Postgres instance. If I have to connect directly from from the Linux using the Linux command line itself, I need to have the PSQL client installed in Ubuntu itself. So for that, we need to say apt. Okay, we have to say sudo apt install Postgres client, PostgreSQL client, sorry, PostgreSQL client and -s. So that will bring the PostgreSQL client and install it into the Ubuntu Linux itself for us. Now if you say PSQL and -h, you can see that the PSQL is already installed. So sorry, we need to say version. So so this gives the PostgreSQL client's version. With this client's version, we know that now it is now we can connect. So in case of this, in case of using PostgreSQL client, we need to give the username as Postgres and h as the host that you are going to give. This should be the host that we allocated to the Docker. So the Docker, we allocated the host BYOB_DB. This is the host name we need to provide. That is how you can connect to it. And the port is, we have to provide 6432. You remember that we provided this port 6432. We need to provide this only. Then only it will connect. Okay, so in my case, I had made the error here. We don't need to give the host as BYOB_DB. We have to use the host as localhost only. So the localhost will take care of connecting to the Docker instance, because we are giving the port as 6432. So that is the difference. So once we do that, you see it's asking for the password. This is where the challenge will come. If you have not set the password, then you will not be able to log in. So don't go through this login. So go back to the earlier process that we did. We actually use the Docker exec. If you remember this process, you can execute this, and inside here you can use the password setup. Okay, and now you can give the password here. Okay, and I have changed the password. I can quit. So this will, after this, you have to use a new password, and you can use the PSQL. Now you can use this command, and if you execute, and if I give the new password, whichever I am giving, so I am able to execute and enter directly from my Linux shell itself, Linux command itself. So now let us go back to the presentation. So we have seen how to do the passwordless login for the Ubuntu user, and we have also set up the Postgres database for the catalog setup. We have to do certain configuration in the Postgres database for making it ready to become the Metastore or the catalog for the big data cluster that we are building. that activity will be done in the next video, and then we will take it forward from there. So till then, stay tuned guys. Have a great time.